Hey there, Adrienne Elise here. Welcome to the SuperNova Astrology Update for May 20th through 27th, 2024. This is a magical and powerful week. And last week, too, as we had the sun coming up to Uranus and Jupiter, the sun and Uranus have just come off from each other, but now the sun is still with Jupiter, and now Venus is moving into these conjunctions. In Taurus, her home sign, coming up to Uranus and then Jupiter, incredibly powerful energy of expanding, first of all, with the sun into our true identity, and with Venus coming back to the divine feminine within us and without us. Everything in this Taurus explosion we've been feeling is about opening us up to our true wealth and worth. And this is a radical change for supernova souls. That's the energy of Uranus. And in Taurus, it's a radical revolutionary change in the area of wealth and worth. What is wealth? What is really valuable? A complete overhaul in our core values, as well as like a flash of lightning with that Sun Uranus conjunction, kind of being like, this is who you are. You can no longer not deny, hide, run, turn it down, pretend you're something different. Supernova, our time is here. And that's definitely what this astrology is saying. So we've got this very powerful week with still the sun pretty close, just with Jupiter. Now Venus coming in. Just yesterday, Venus came into exact conjunction with Uranus and will be in exact conjunction with um, Jupiter on the 23rd over the next few days. Now, Jupiter is at the very end degrees of Taurus, expanding into, just so we know that at the end of the sign, the beginning of the sign, there's a bloom of the energies of the sign. And Jupiter expands and brings more of wherever it is. And so we're having a really big bloom. And now Jupiter's about to move into Gemini. This is a big shift because Jupiter has been in the sign of Aries or Taurus since last May. And so we've had a whole year of this energy of Jupiter in Taurus, and now Jupiter will be moving into Gemini on the 26th. That's just a couple of days after Venus moves into Gemini on the 24th, and the Sun transits over on the 21st. So the Sun, Venus, and Jupiter all moving into the sign of Gemini this week, bringing a big shift of energy. But at the same time, we still have all of this Taurus bloom. So up for this next week, we're going to be feeling Taurus, this Jupiter and Taurus bloom of energy. And kind of like, did you get the message of Jupiter and Taurus? Because it's about expanding into our true wealth and worth. For supernova souls, it's a very sticky and delicate situation going from feeling that you've lost everything, you're worth nothing, nobody cares or gives a shit about who you are and what you've accomplished and developed within yourself and in the world over many lifetimes of complete devotion to this evolution. And now we have to turn around and step up into our true wealth. Like literally go from the beggar on the street to that king or queen claiming your rightful place on your throne. And that's what this astrology is about. So Jupiter moving into Gemini is going to bring an energy of this kind of moving into the new renaissance. Gemini, an air sign, it's about expression and movement and vibration. And astrology is telling us that the next 200-year cycle around about is an air in the energy of the air element, because that's where Jupiter and Saturn, they meet up every 20 years. They met last in 2020, at the end of 2020. And so they're going to now be meeting up in air signs. So it's saying this is a new renaissance, and this is how we build our new world. Everything with this total solar eclipse and in Aries next to Chiron is about a new start, new direction. Right there with the North Node of the moon, we got to go. We got to go to the new, right? Like if we stay with the old, we perish. We cannot continue in the old ways that we've been doing things and living the way that the world is going. Supernova souls, we're here too. We've always been the black sheep, right? letting our freak flag fly as much as we can, doing it our own way. This is the energy of Aries. Uh, Having the strength and power to own your own direction, own your own energy, own your own power. But Chiron in Aries is speaking to where we haven't wounds, deep wounds over many lifetimes. We can just talk about the Piscean age here, where we gave up our life force, our truth, in order to either survive or we were killed for who we are, for living our truth. And so we're reclaiming all. This Taurus energy is like, you guys, our inheritance. So much has been stolen from us again and again and again, but it's ours. It's the mother's, it's ours. This wealth, this worth, the resources of this place belong to us as her faithful servants, those that have stood with her throughout time. We're there from the very beginning of the vision of what our mother, our great mother, manifests in as a living, breathing goddess that we get to walk upon, and the vision of what Earth wants to become in her evolution, joining back with the Christ consciousness. We've been separated in the illusion of separation. The only way that the control forces could steal from us and keep us small, keep us from remembering who we are. Um, and so, in order to move forward in our evolution and claim our wealth, claim our worth, claim our inheritance, we must come back to the mother. And that is our wealth. You know, she says, it's all my resources, which means it's all your resources because you're here with me, my army, standing with me in the right, in the good, in the true. Because as she claims back her world and we claim back our body, her body is our body from the nanotech, from the harmful technologies. We're saying, and we're standing with her and we're saying, no more harm. Technology is designed to create harm. Those who would use those technologies to create harm can't live in her world. All must come into alignment. And so we're each taking this personal responsibility with our body, our love, our mother here manifest to clean, to cleanse, to purify, to honor ourselves, to care for ourselves. And that's how we claim back our world. And this is just a huge bloom of this. Like, this is such a core issue for supernova souls. Like, how to go from this deep, dark, low self worth programming that it's kind of like they wanted us to think that it was all our fault, everything wrong and bad that's ever happened in this evolution. And it was just a setup. But we kind of bought into it. We took on this low self worth, this horrible feeling that we needed to fix or heal or make up for something. And it's just not true. So, we've been stuck in this low self-worth. You know, if you we've seen this dynamic again and again. People who have been in poverty or poverty consciousness bestowed with the lottery winnings or some sort of abundance, and it's like hot potato, get rid of it. You know, I don't deserve it. I can't handle it. It's too much. It's like, and now we have to turn around, literally 180-degree turn from this total poverty consciousness. However that played out, you can have plenty of money and still be in poverty consciousness, right? But then turning into the true wealth of our abundance, the true wealth of this world. Everything we're learning about and understanding is our higher technologies within our very own body. Uranus and Taurus telling us this. All right, you are free energy, but do you feel worthy of it? Do you deserve it? We've just been living their lies for so long. You know, they're stealing this energy from us, telling us we misuse the technology so that they can misuse it against us. No more. It's done. We can feel it. We still have cleanup. We got mop up, but it's like once you see who you are really and your potential, you don't have to know exactly what that means, but to know you're so much more than who you are, that it is our free energy, that it is our world, that we come from a very much higher dimensional place than our controllers. And once you see that, um, the illusion, the matrix, this is what's going on here. We've got some like this astrology is about like jimmying the lock out of this lower matrix, and the lower matrix, from what we've been just talking about, is then literally held in place by our low self-worth programming and our lack of ability to receive the abundance. the care, the love. How as humans, we're very vulnerable creatures. You can look at animals, horses, like um, livestock. They're born and they're mammals, but they need milk, they need care, but they're born and they stand up and they walk. And we take 9 months of like really extensive care. And that sets us up to a situation of dependency, of course, can bring abuse. And so many supernova souls have felt this rift, this disconnection, this lack of true nurturing or connection to the mother energy in their life. But it's like it's all designed to, um, like, almost like this program, this play out of the supernova story of like where you just don't have the love that you need as a human because of all these stories of low self-worth and programming and shame that is totally misplaced. But when you kind of at that turnaround moment that you discover that you are the wealth of the world, you know. So this whole setup, because we've been targeted for lifetimes, right? We have to understand this. That it's very clear to the control powers who are the true human souls that have these advanced abilities. And so we have been steered, manipulated, and distracted away from who we really are, our sole purpose, our bigger self, for so long. And that's how they've kept control for so long. But like we said, we're seeing through the veil to who we really are. And that means game over. Because one of the really important messages coming through right now is that power we've talked about the power of the mother, or we could equate the energy of the mother in this with this healing force, this vital force, this self-correcting force, life force, which is also our immune system in our body and the immune system of the earth. This is a very powerful energy of self-correction. And the message is that, and this is so important for supernova souls in our karmic clearing and journey right now, because it's very helpful to step back and understand we got really caught up in all these stories. But so these things happened to us. We went through all these traumas. We got shamed and blamed. But this revolution that's happening of our wealth and worth by seeing who we really are is telling us that, yes, we did experience those things, but it doesn't define us. It's not our identity. We're so much bigger. And all that happened just to keep us from knowing who we are in our bigger true self. So we are at this place of, but what's kind of going back to this, I got two trains of thought going on here, but we'll work it out. Um, the vital force, we have to understand that as so much is what's going on right now is this exposure of the darkness, right? In this time that we're living, it's becoming clear that you have to have a huge bloom of the evil forces if you're going to get rid of them for good, because otherwise there's going to be still pockets of this energy that will try to grow and come back. So this is the time in our evolution where the negative, dark, evil so-called forces need to grow so that we can see them, so we can eradicate them. But this message is that supernova souls have felt through this shame blame game, they felt so responsible for other people, for earth evolution, for wanting to fix and heal and help. And that's such a beautiful energy. But the mother's kind of like, hey, you I got this. Hand it back over. This is not your burden. Because once the shadow and the dark corners and the light is revealed, it immediately starts to heal. Okay? This is a message. It cannot be in the light. It cannot be revealed and exposed and not begin to heal. So the fact that we're in this time of exposure, it's like what we're waiting for is like is enough to be exposed so that that healing force can happen and kick in, right? Because this is, you could take it as an analogy, a metaphor in homeopathic treatment, classical homeopathic treatment for the body, for the whole being. But you can have some stuff going on. You got some symptoms. It's just like chronic. but low grade, but annoying. Then you're going to go to the homeopath, you're going to go deeper, and you may have an expression of symptoms are like, oh, this is what's going on. And what happens is that homeopathic remedy that's matched up energetically like a mirror to your vibrational frequency will trigger your body in that vital force and say, hey, this is how you, here's how you, now that we can see the problem, you know, the body knows exactly how to fix it and just get out of the way and let it happen, right? You don't keep prescribing remedies and all that. You just like, oh, whoa, and this is where we're at right now. The remedy is here. The disease is being exposed and the remedy is here. And guess what? That's you, supernova souls. No pressure, you know. But it's like, how could we take on the blame for all of this if we weren't that powerful? Like, why would you be so targeted over lifetimes? If you didn't have something within you that they didn't want you to find. And we're remembering. And it's so exciting. So, what just happened this last week is that we've had just this last few days, well, starting on the 15th, we started to feel Mercury in square to Pluto. And so Mercury completed his time in Aries after like 2 full months of like, Aries, North Node, Chiron, um, eh, just eclipse point over again and again, just like, so Mercury is so excited to move into Taurus, just a new energy, like, whoa, done with that retrograde. But then came right into that square with Pluto at 2 degrees Aquarius. Pluto's now retrograde, but still hanging out at 2 degrees. So it was kind of this like a little bit of sandpaper feeling of like, oh, this nitty gritty grossness that you thought you dealt with still arising, but really having to do with a complete death of our old self that's required in order to move into the Aquarian age. And so that Mercury square Pluto was bringing up, like Mercury's like, finally, right? Because Mercury has this crazy, when Mercury goes retrograde, it's like it really, retrograde isn't really an accurate description of what's really happening. Supposedly, the orbit is like getting of Mercury getting closer to the Earth and kind of behind the Earth. So it's seen appears to go backwards, it doesn't really go backwards. Um, but Mercury slows way down, for the retrograde and takes a while to get back going. And now Mercury is catching up and he's cruising along. And then he comes into that square with Pluto and it's like, oh, So we're in this place because we know Pluto is going back into Capricorn and we're still resolving our false authority where we've given away our power to false authorities. So much of that Aries' woundedness of giving our power away was, of course, to these false authorities, and that's the end degrees, Pluto at the end degrees of Capricorn. So we know we have to resolve and complete all these loose ties. And that was this Mercury, like Mercury's ready to go, back on track, finally out of Aries, the pressure of Aries. And then this square with Pluto. And it's like, this is about a whole new world, right? A whole new reality. Mercury 3 times over Chiron and the eclipse point and 2 conjunctions with the North Node, hanging out for a whole week, 10 days or so with the North Node. Um, it's a new direction forward. Aries is the first sign of the zodiac, right? It's the true self. It's a birth and conception of the true self. And it says with the North Node there, it's like this is the only way we can go forward is if we be who we are, take back our energy, take back our power. And so we're automatically talking about taking it back from these false authorities that we allow to have power over us, have no power over us, are not even, from lower dimensional energies from where we came from. And we're like, oh, okay, we'll go along with it because we're nice people. We're supernova souls, and that just boom, backfired in our face again and again and again. But the message is like, whoa, mama's like, honey, hold on. You never gave up your love. You never closed down your heart, maybe for a while. That beautiful picture that there's this treasure chest of all these jewels and treasures that you have developed and worked with over many lifetimes. And one of those is this heart and this trust. And maybe it was naivety that got you into trouble again and again, but it's so beautiful. And every time you kept your heart open and so you trusted the wrong person, but you still trusted. And that's like a little pearl in your treasure chest. in the treasures of what you've grown and built. So we're in this massive reconciliation, like it's like we're like do 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 do. We're kind of stuck here in between the past and the future. We're going in circles, doing it again and again. This weird loop, Groundhog Day, ever since like 2020, And then all of a sudden it's like, whoa, what's that? Your bigger self looming in the distance in the future, and you're like, well, I could go around it. Mm, I could go over it, under it, can't do it. No, gotta go through it, gotta go meet this bigger self, you know, and embody it and live true to it because it is a gift of source, of your own work, but source energy like that you've worked on to manifest over many lifetimes. And so it's yours. Nobody else can use it. Nobody else can do it. Nobody else can play the part, your particular chord on the strings of the notes of this melody of our building this new world. You have a special place as a petal of her lotus, and this is where we go, oh, and we go from being all scared of all the scary, fake dark that was hidden in the darkness that's now being exposed, and then being like, "Ooh, maybe I was really scared of that big what I thought was a monster, but it's actually my bigger self, you know? Maybe that's what I was really scared of all along. Maybe that's why I gave up my power, you know? And it's huge to just go from complete disconnection, poverty consciousness, completely alone, isolated, and Groundhog Day, and then you're just gonna step into your power. You're just gonna be who you are. You're just gonna walk into that room and not turn your light down, not turn your energy down, not accommodate to the people around you. Be like, I'm here. Go ahead and let them be mad at you for being happy. You freaking earned that shit. Are you ready? We have been so plagued by all this targeting and harassment over lifetimes, but these last few years, this all playing out. And a lot of this is Neptune at the end degrees of Pisces, as well as Pluto at the end degrees of Capricorn. So we are completely changing the game. But you can't just do that. You can't just take that train that's going at 80 miles an hour and go the other direction. You gotta slow it down. You gotta pause. You gotta gas up. Then we can go, right? And this is exactly where we're at. Everything's saying this. So, we're coming up on this Sagittarius full moon, and it happens on Thursday, May 23rd, but early in the morning Mountain Time. So the activation is on Wednesday, May 22nd at 10 a.m. Mountain Time. I hope you can join us for this Sagittarius full moon. It's like fireworks, the phoenix rising, because we've got the full moon happens, just after the sun moves over into Gemini on the 21st. And so the Sagittarius full moon or the full moon's across from the sun in Gemini and Sagittarius at 2 degrees 55 minutes. So really powerful because 5 is like that spoke on the wheel. And we're talking about Mars, with Mars and Aries, it's go time at home in Aries. And so there's a lot of fire energy and power and like fireworks because the beginning of Sagittarius is the phoenix coming out of the darkness, the dark deep dive of Scorpio, and then being like, this is what it all means, you know? And that aha moment is coming for you in this astrology over the next couple of weeks. Um, and also these new structures being able to crystallize into form. Like, what am I doing? How do I move forward? What's my next step? What does it even look like? So be open to this, these downloads, these crystallizations, these realizations of like, oh, I get it now. Right. It's kind of like all the fluff, the riffraff, all the distractions, all the stories falling away, and then you can see first it's a dark, scary monster on your path. You realize it's actually your bigger self. And then it becomes a portal of light, and you walk through and you own it. And you live this truth that the mother wants us to live of this true abundance. We got the message that first it's energy. First it has to be it's an energetic concept before it manifests. First was the word, right? And so we're waiting for systems to change to bring in what we know is our golden age and the abundance. But first, it's an energy, and we are being tasked and asked. It's requested of us right now to, as much as we can, live in the energy of the abundance economy. And you're like, I'm just trying to figure out how to pay my next bill, keep a roof over my head, like survival. And it's like, I know it kind of doesn't make sense. And yet it does, because going back to the concept I didn't finish before, um, what if you have been surrounded by all of these karmic relationships and energies around you over lifetimes that have specifically been designed to keep you from remembering who you are, distracted from your soul purpose, like caught up in all this other drama, you know? So this is what's coming up, because Mars is moving has moved over into Aries, his home sign. And that first few days last week of Mars moving over into Aries, what day was it? Um that It was like, maybe it was a couple weeks ago, a week and a half or so. It was like this tension, Mars and Aries, and it was like grr, this like kind of a fiery energy of standing up for ourselves and um, owning our truth, and kind of a bit of a battle energy. Now Mars is so excited to be in Aries, but it's like Mercury's just got out. Mercury's like, got out of that. And then Mars is like, well, I'm at home. So Mars is celebrating, activating, putting a motor on what happened with Mercury in Aries and the eclipse in Aries and Chiron in Aries and the North Node, on all that story that just played out. We've got um, Mars now. So Mars is just today at the coming up to the North Node of the moon. And remember that the North Node and the Sun and the Moon and Chiron were all pretty close together for that eclipse. And now Mars is going over these points. Mars is our action. Mars is our warrior. It's speaking to this message we've been getting from the mother, that now we're moving into a new initiation path, where we've been learning and studying and understanding and exposing, and we've come back to the mother. We've been on our devotional path of coming back home to the mother, allowing ourselves to be loved and held. It's hard after you've been targeted with poverty consciousness, kept who you are, kept from your wealth for so long. Right? And here you are all alone by yourself. You lost everything, and you need to find your way back to the mother's love and abundance. It's not easy, and yet it's what we're being tasked with right now. So with Mars coming over these points, Mars is like the motor action, and it's moving us into the initiation path of Dharma, or the true work or action, right? Now it's time to build. They're crystallizing the new structures. Like all these seeds we've planted, all the for through this whole evolution, lifetime after lifetime, that haven't been able to sprout. Like the trump card has not been played yet, right? We haven't even begun to do the work we came here to do, but it's now time to start. And Mars is like, let's go. you know. So this is what we're gonna feel, because we're like, whoa, come into your abundance like Taurus, blah blah blah. Activate. Who are you really? Like, you this bigger self. And then we've got Mars like, yeah, let's go, put a motor on it, let's do this. And so Mars is facing down these energies and kind of bringing culmination, a completion, and a celebration, right? Because Mars it, it won't be is kind of in it will bring a fire trine energy. Mars and Aries, kind of a fire trine energy with this Sagittarius full moon. And that Sagittarius full moon, kind of the energy of coming up out of the darkness and into the light, like fireworks. It's like grand opening celebration of the portal that was the dark, scary monster the fear of your own power, and now a portal to your Christ light body. It's pretty. It We have to remember that this whole story has this thing about the flipping of the tables, right? The turning of the tables, flipping of the tides, and that's that train slowing down and starting back up. But there's also a suddenness to it, in the blink of an eye, the twinkling of an eye, like this um, flash of lightning, flash of light, just realization, recognition. So we are in this strange place of a long drawn out massive change in a complete other direction. And this Mars is saying, let's go, let's do this. So Mars North Node. But that means, coming back to this other concept we were talking about of relationships and the people around us, because Mars is across the way right now from the South Node in Libra. And And Mars with this motor energy and moving, and Mars is moving really fast right now, kind of cruising for a bruising type energy because um, Mars is going to be heading into a retrograde, not till the end of the year, but Mars turns retrograde on in December. And so Mars is kind of getting faster and faster and faster as he heads into this kind of like, and it's like, let's go, let's go, let's go. So the rest of this year is like, come on, we got to move on this stuff. And yet we have Pluto retrograde going back into Capricorn. So it's like, yes, we're going to move, but that movement is going to show us the last bit of residue, contracts, cords, attachments to people and energies and authorities that um, seek to control us, hold us back, or feed on our energy. Or the main thing that's coming up right now with this Mars opposite the South Node in Libra is kind of a frustration, but it's good. It's owning our power, but it's a frustration with these relationships and energies in your life from the past, most likely, or that have to do with whatever kind of relationships where you can feel this old you that feels responsible and wants to go ahead before thinking, like, what can I do to help? You know, like, and this is such a beautiful energy. But like the mother said, hey, that might not be your job, might be my job. Can you send love and let me do it? Very much a challenge. So, but what we're encountering is these relationships where we felt responsible, we felt like we wanted to help them and love them and bring them along with us, but we're realizing that they are perhaps this whole time, maybe it's been more of an avoidance, like connecting with us, like that we can do the work and to pull them along with us, and they can avoid their issues, avoid their problems, never face it, never do the work. And we cannot. It's fine if they want to be there, right? This is a free will universe. You have to make your choice. If you're making the choice to get on the ascension timeline, you got to do the work. You got to face your shit. You got to feel your feels. You got to clean up the dark corners, right? And there's a lot of people around us that are like, "Wait a minute, but you can just be my light." And it's like, "Yeah, no, I know I did play that for you before, but now you gotta go on your own, and I gotta let you go." You know, because it's like dead weight of the energies around you. You've been doing so much work, and isn't it time to honor yourself for this? Love yourself, and part of honoring yourself and loving yourself is having boundaries and saying, "Hey, you know, check it out." Like, I can show you the way, just like Yeshua, he showed us the way. It wasn't about him becoming the king and being the light for us outside of us. He was saying, "You have this within you. I'm going to go away so you can find it within you. Because if I'm here, you're never going to find it within you." And this is kind of almost like the period of time that we've been in has been this wilderness time where it's like, if you're going to go face the monster, Satan, the darkness, like you kind of have to do it alone. Then we can come together and work on our projects. So we've been in this wilderness time, but kind of giving ourselves permission to love ourselves, honor ourselves for the work that we've done. And in that, it's required for us to go ahead and have boundaries and allow the people around us to find their own way. We'll love, you can always send more love. You got more love. And this is also for um, the energies that might be coming at you of attack, because there's just such an agenda against the light that you are, and you're not able to turn it down. And so as you are in your energy of this, because when you're doing your work like you've done, you have an energy of movement in your field. That energy of movement in your field is very threatening to those that want to stay in compensation, and suppressed emotions. That's okay. That's their choice. That's prerogative, right? It's free will universe. Um, but we can't adjust to that. We can't, what we've been doing subconsciously is being like, oh, I'm having an effect perhaps in this room, in this world, in this person. And I'll just turn it down. I'll just make it good. I'll just hand over a bunch of my energy and like codependently just like make it all good and go outside of myself, solve that problem over there to keep myself safe. And we got to stop all this business. It's such a drain of energy, isn't it? And we got to seal it up and own our energy for ourselves. Our energy is only meant for us. Source intended it for us. We are not doing right by Source and the Mother when we leak it out unconsciously. So There's also this energy of like you might have a cleansing reaction and then that could have a backlash or attack energy. And we're being asked to just hold our power, stand in our light. That was the Owning Your Energetic Field course. Really great. Personal power. Go get that replay if you're dealing with these issues of being able to hold your energy and hold your space. And it also has a lot to do with the heart. A lot of downloads coming of like, yeah, we can hold our power, but there's some interesting intricacies of the heart connection to the third chakra that need to get worked out. So we'll be doing that in the next installment of Owning Your Energetic Field Journey into the Heart. But this owning our power, holding our space, is just the crucial issue of this time. But you can't hold your space if you don't recognize where you're being challenged in your space and your power. And that's part of the exposure. So just know the exposure is dark and scary, because you're like finding the monsters in the corner. But like we said, as soon as it's exposed, if it's not hidden anymore, then the vital force finds it and heals it. It's like healing it's that whole thing that like that the solution is created at the same time. And once it's in the light, the solution can just heal it. And we don't have to go do it. We can just send love. And that's this attack energy that could come at you, the backlash for popping their zit accidentally, because you're coming in with this movement of energy, this like showing up, doing your work, and they're like, "No, I don't want to." And it's like, I'm not turning it down anymore. It's too hot. Get out of the kitchen, but I can send you love. You know, I can send you love and see for you the healing, and not try to do it for you anymore. You know, so we're really being tagged in our codependent tendencies of overgiving and selling ourselves short because we've got to own and contain this wealth. So it all comes back around to this. So Mars is going to be right. So Mars comes up to the North Node today with the North Node today, and then with at the eclipse point on the 26th. So the full moon on the 23rd is exactly in the middle, right? So Mars will be exactly in the middle between the North Node and the eclipse point. And so, wow, now we really figure out what this means for us. All that just happened because Mars wants to go and act and get on the Dharma path. Like, enough already, enough going in circles, enough battling with lower energies, enough leaking our energy out to everyone. Like, we're going to contain it and use it for what we came here to do. And it's going to feel so good. It already feels so good because you have made this commitment to yourself. That's what this last couple months has been about. It's like that, okay, I'm maybe scared of this bigger self, right? Like maybe this is why I've hidden from it and I let these forces keep me in shame and blame. There's no way around it, you know? We've got to come into our power. We're here for full expression. This is so clear when you look at the supernova a birth chart of supernova souls. Again and again, I'll see this. Like, you got this, you're like bringing together all these different pieces of all these different things that you've done, and you want to integrate and you want to heal all your karma, but you can't get out of this place without expressing your gifts. That's what we're here for. And all our mode, all our support, all our wealth, all the resources have been stolen from us. Even within our own body now, trying to steal our wealth, steal our minerals, steal our farm, our piezoelectric energy with their nanotechnology. But what happens when it must be returned to us, and we know it's coming. We can feel it. I can feel a huge shift in supernova souls. We're like, well, I guess I have to face my scarcity because I can feel abundance is coming. And so it's a lot to change our energy to move into that. It actually is traumatic. You're like used to the trauma and the abuse and people like being mean to you and just like kicking you to the curb, right? You're like, yeah, whatevs at this point. Abundant wealth might be more traumatic. So we've got our work cut out for ourselves. And the mother says, what's the avenue for your wealth? What's the avenue for abundance? Create the avenue. Like, what is the bigger problem? Like, you want to help and heal, right? What is the problem you want to solve? What is the solution? What project, what avenue for abundance could say, hey, this is the way we can demonstrate. A lot of the projects we're going to be working on, what's coming forward is basically like the demonstration project. You can't tell them. You have to show them. you know? So we're creating like microcosms of new earth and demonstration projects of how we could live differently. This has been our whole frustration. We could just do it differently. And you know what? The different way we want to do it is the mother's way. She's got it all figured out. We just have to align with her and let our body come back into our body. So when we're all suppressed and not feeling our emotions and not dealing with our stuff, then we can't feel our body, which is where our intuition lives right now. This is part of the Taurus awakening too. Like the mother's body is awakening, and the mother's body is your body. You are a part of Gaia, all living things. So we can listen to the mother, our intuitive guidance through our own body. But if we're all repressed and suppressed, we're never going to be able to get those messages. But it's crucial and important that we have that connection to our body to feel into the way forward, right? Because she's saying, "You don't get to know." You know? Look, you've been facing that direction towards the dark. You have no idea where you're going or who you really are. Just stop trying to figure it out. Just be with me step by step. You'll know the next thing to do when you listen to me in your body because I have the dream, you have the dream within you, but it needs to be reawakened. And that's why we can't see the way forward. Also, we don't have the other pieces. We've been totally blocked from our core soul group, who we were with when we planted these seeds. So, if we're going to bloom these seeds, we got to find them, right? And a lot of what's kept us from finding our core soul group is these entanglements with those souls that don't want to do the work. Clear your slate. Clear your slate, get rid of the junk, organize, get ready because the shit is happening, right? We're rolling now. It's a process, but this Mars activation is saying, just, I don't know, there's just a seriousness to Mars is like, come on, finally back in Aries after all this business. And um, so it's powerful that Mars will be exactly equidistant between the eclipse point at 19 degrees Aries and the North Node. Now, the nodes of the moon delineate the eclipses, right? So, and it's got this destiny energy, and Mars South Node is really, really bringing it up for us with everything we've been talking about. So, it tells us what this full moon is about because the full moon is a culmination, and Sagittarius, though, it's at the beginning of the sign. So it's speaking to, yeah, we're finishing up the beginning of the new and the end of the old. And so we can get into the meat of it. And it's like I said at the beginning of Sag, it's just like, wow, Phoenix rising, fire. Like, um, it's saying, oh, now I'm gonna and I saw that it was my power. I saw I was programmed to fear it. I saw they told me it was dangerous. I see that it's more powerful than those forces that were trying to block it, but I haven't quite stepped into it and owned it yet. And that's where we're at. And this is the Mars activation. So then Mars will go on to conjunct up with Chiron on the 30th of May. And so that's just like Mars just wants to combust the wounds and the old stories, right? Like, there's still fragments of those old scrolls and the whatever, like, the old clothing and the old you, and Mars is like, "Drop that shit, like, set it on fire." Like, maybe this is a good time, actually, the end of May, to have a bonfire and burn some shit, like, symbolically or really, because 'cause you're ready to get rid of your junk and old paperwork, right? But it's like bonfire of the old painful wounded stories, and it's that whole thing of like, yeah, I experienced that, and you're powerful, you're badass because of what you've gone through, but it's not who you are. It's not your identity. We've been so the Chiron in Aries has a lot to do with like because a Chiron Aries is your identity, the self, the true self. So it's like this wrestling with the old stories and like it but as we free ourselves from those old stories, then we're like, "Oh, this is who I am?" And so it's a very combustible energy, but also very clean, like, clean break from the old you. So and that's perfect timing for moving into this very beautiful. Because remember that we have these silver bells ringing, okay? we're in the third silver bell because we've had the Sun, Uranus, Sun, Jupiter. Now Venus is with Uranus and will be with Jupiter, and then Mercury will be with Uranus and Jupiter. And so we've got this cascade waterfall of like, what in the heck is this whole Taurus activation really mean for us? How do we own our wealth? What is our wealth? What's wealth? What's value? What do we care about? And of course, we want to talk about as well with Taurus. What's wealth? What's value? What do we care about? And of course, we want to talk about as well with Taurus and Uranus, a revolutionary change, Jupiter expanding the revolutionary change of our relationship to physical form, you know? And this is kind of where we're going. Our advanced, where we've been before in these higher dimensional frequencies, we may have still been in physical form, but it was more plasma. It didn't break. It was, you couldn't hurt it. You couldn't cause harm too much. The energy buffer just protected it, you know? And here we are stuck in this lower dimensional place with a whole bunch of monsters that all they want to do is cause harm. I'm so sorry. It's so sad for you, supernova souls, that you had to go so far away from your truth and be denied and neglected on every level. You know, the love stolen from you so that you never realize you are the love. But here we are. Can we drop that old shit, have a bonfire, and step into the phoenix, into the love that we are, and just be like, hey, you got a problem out there? I'm so sorry that I popped yours in. I made your stuff flow, but hey, here's some more love. Here's some more love. Oh, you're gonna put some hate on me? You're gonna throw some shade at me? Here's some more love because I'm abundant. You guys stole it from me, took it from me, told me I wasn't that love, kept all the love from me, and us, we've been so uh, just like that. We just have to understand that for us, the scarcity poverty energy that we're dealing with and the physical resources is just really all about what we talked about, that our mother, we're so vulnerable as humans. We need so much care. And it's our mother who teaches us to receive as they care for us, right? So if we're disconnected from Mother Earth, we don't know how to receive. And how are we ever going to receive the massive abundance of all of the energy that's been stolen from us, all the wealth that's been stolen that's coming back? And what would you do if somebody said, hey, let's move some of this wealth energy? What's the avenue? How can we help? How can we demonstrate to the world? You know, it's like a little homeopathic remedy. Maybe one little healing center, one little community, one little project over here that says, hey, we can do it differently, you guys. Check it out. Where, say, the field of healing is so powerful because it's just so connected to Mother that you don't need to go get a healing session. You just need to go to the healing center and be healed by yourself in your own body and the Mother. You could get sessions too, right? I mean, but so we've got to part of this Mars initiation is like, destroy that old stories and um, begin to put your energy and time into visualizing, right? Can we stop feeling bad for where we can't help anymore and go and put our energy where we can help, where we're supposed to help, where it's in alignment with who we are? So our helping is just an expression of the truth of who we are. It doesn't involve anything specific necessarily. But there is a beautiful picture. So can we be in the energy, visualize? Because the other thing, so what we have this week is we've got the silver bells of Venus and Jupiter. I mean, Venus, Uranus, Venus, Jupiter. And the sun just did this, right? So part of the energy is now that Venus is hitting Uranus and then Jupiter, she's catching them back up to the sun. And so all the way since her last retrograde, last summer, or last July. So now she's finally catching back up to the sun, and the speed that she's at and catching up to the sun, they're going to stay really close. It's an extended activation, exact for 4 full days, the 11th to the 2nd, June 2nd to the 5th. And so we've got this very powerful Sagittarius full moon, the fireworks celebration moving forward in new ways. And we've also got the silver bells ringing, distilling, beginning to come into form, crystallizing what our next steps, the projects, the people, like, beginning to take form. And then we have this beautiful union of Venus catching back up to the sun. And it's like that identity of who we really are in the divine feminine, coming back to the mother. And it's so perfect. Jupiter at the very end degrees of Taurus. I mean, he's moving into Gemini, right? We talked about that happens on the 26th. So this next few days, or this week, with Jupiter at the very end degrees of Taurus, Venus meeting up with these planets, activating and then approaching the sun. So right at the end of the month, we've got that Mars Chiron. You know, so first we have, and then we have right after the full moon, all these planets move into Gemini. So we've got that big shift from Taurus to Gemini, big explosion of the Taurus, revolution of wealth into the singing the song, the Gemini expression. Now we get to express it in the world. Claimed back our power and our energy. Growing our abundance, taking back what's ours. Now we get to express it. And so it's a really big shift, but we've got that bloom of Taurus for the next few days. And then we've got so for the new moon, remember we've got Mars North Node eclipse point. Like, what in the world was this whole last couple of months about? Um then Mars, all the planets move into Gemini. Mars comes into Chiron for that release of the woundedness and moving into the new. And then we have the Sun Venus conjunction. So that's going to be at 11 degrees, 12 degrees, 13 degrees, 14 degrees of Gemini. So it's like the song of the feminine, right? Because the sun just went over Uranus and Jupiter, and then Venus too, and it's a revolution. The sun is our identity, so a revolution of our identity and an expansion into our true identity with Jupiter. And then Venus right there says, yeah, your true identity is the divine feminine. So this is the deal, right? Yeshua, Jesus, the Essenes, all that happened and played out at the last shift of ages, people knew about. We were part of this way back from the beginning of this evolution. This was foretold, this event, and the story continues. So we have to understand, we have to go to the roots of what this event is really about. We have to understand that the Essenes were connected to the ancient Egyptians' initiations, which was goddess worship. And actually every single indigenous culture does goddess worship because that's the normal. It's just common sense. You're going to respect and honor and have gratitude for that which is feeding you, and cultivate, grow, and celebrate, with that mutual reciprocity, with the seasonal festivals and just this incredible gratitude and connection and feeling the love of the mother. So that's we all need to go back that, but the original teacher, the same teachings, the scenes, it turns out, they pretended to be Jews. They pretended to be that you had because the God, this energy was so people were so scared of it, and it was so demonized. The ancient Egyptian mysteries. And so Yeshua and the Essenes, their role was basically to bring forward the teachings of the divine feminine and the ancient mysteries of Egypt and Isis mysteries in a form that could be received. And so it had to be a man, but his teachings are all the mother's teachings, right? I mean, love thy neighbor. It's not rocket science. It's so simple. And we have to understand that, so on the front, they had to pretend, and so the person doing the miracles and bringing this energy in kind of had to be a male because at that time women were like, it was like, and so, but that kind of means we don't have the whole story. We don't know about Mary Magdalene. She was just called the whore and cut out of the story. And Mary's the perfect virgin, and that's unattainable. So we've got this like really messed up version of the feminine role in this whole thing. And that's what our time is about a lot. I think we're going to be discovering new scrolls. We're going to be uncovering the truth. We're going to have the exposure, of these truths. And so it's like you have to understand that you've been on this team from the beginning, you know, So this whole thing, like a lot of us were um, throughout this whole story of trying to protect these teachings, the deep esoteric teachings of the feminine. And that was the Knights of the Templar, the Cathars before they were infiltrated. Like we've been warriors for her. We've literally been on the battlefield fighting for her love, for her our connection to her. It's like these souls were so connected to this feminine energy, and it's kind of strange when you start opening back up to it because you're like, do I deserve it's the same thing. Do I deserve it? Is it real? Can I trust it? It's like she's a part of you, you're a part of her. She loves you so much. She's your real big mother. And can we just drop the stories of being unloved, rejected, cast aside, and be like, yeah, that was an earth experience. It's not true for me. You know? And then we have to do it ourselves, right? Nobody can bring us back to that place. But to go from total poverty and complete abandonment into the abundant love of the mother, it's a stretch. And that but we're doing it. That's Mars, right? Mars is making the leap. We kind of got that message with these personal planets going over Jupiter and Uranus because when the sun hit them, they were 5 degrees apart. When Venus hits them, they're 6 degrees apart, and then they're back to 5 degrees apart when Mercury hits them. So, um, about 3 degrees apart is when you are really still feeling the conjunction, and so it's like they're separating out from that conjunction, Jupiter and Uranus and Taurus. But our personal planets cascading over them is like making a leap, connecting them back together according to our personal life. First, our true identity with the sun, our connection to the divine feminine with Venus, and Mercury, our new perspective, new reality. All has to do with this new wealth, which is true wealth, which is like stack that money and all the cars and all the material possessions up. It's not gonna, you can't take it with you, and it's not gonna ever give you what you really want. The true wealth, which is love. Which is who you are and what you are. And when we come back to our connection with the mother, we're like, "Oh, yeah, I am the love. I'm her love. I can feel her love. I receive her love. I get to have her love." That was a really powerful message last week from her, like, I will not deny the love for you that is for you. It's your love. Cannot be denied from you, you know? It's meant for you." And we've had this distorted version of the mother, which is the withholding and the manipulation and the games and the power games, but that's all based on scarcity, you know? And so, can we allow ourselves to have this massive, comforting, compassionate love that's ours, you know? Because she says, the love I have for you, but then she said, the love that's yours. No one can take it from you. We've all had these really painful narcissistic relationships where we've had people just steal our energy and our power again and again and steal everything from us. And so it's really hard to think of even opening up our heart to examine, even consider a relationship on any level, much less an intimate relationship, because they've been so painful for us. But that was part of her message. Like, we got to open back up our hearts, kids. If we're going to be the abundant love of the universe that we are. And so we got to open up back to love, find the right people, heal ourselves, and know that learning to trust again in her message that nobody can take what's yours, you know, now that you're back home with me. So very beautiful energy. So I hope you can join us for the Sagittarius full moon activation. That's going to be Wednesday at 10 a.m. Mountain Time. And $10. There's also, I did 2 tickets this time. It got confusing, but there's a $10 ticket and a $10 or a sliding scale. So if you want to give a little more, also, I so appreciate your support. It means so much to me for the Supernova movement. We haven't even gotten started on these seed sprouting, what we're going to do. And so your support means so much to me and to all of us. So thank you so much for being a member of the Soul Tribe. And that's $10 a month, gets you a weekly update and live chats on the Telegram channel and a whole bunch of resources for Supernova Souls. $20 a month also includes the access to the live activations, live sharing circles afterwards. So you can come, tell your story, be heard, and come communicate with us, connect with us, find your tribe. So thank you so much. And if you're a non-joiner, like most supernova souls, there's a link to donate if you feel like you'd like to make an offering that way. But just being here, being present, listening, living into these thoughts, concepts. I can't tell you anything you don't already know, but may it trigger that life, this new life within you, the garden blooming in your life, in your field, and you can receive it, own it, stand in it, you know, where all these, so much of the energies around us are negating, want to stay in mediocrity, don't want us to step into our light, into our power, jealous or angry at us stepping into it. But that doesn't have anything to do with us. Now we own it, and it's an incredible wealth, and we're gifted. We're so lucky. And can we step into this beautiful reciprocity of gratitude with her and feel her love, come back to her love, so that we can receive the resources we need to do these demonstration projects that can be like a little homeopathic seed, this beautiful thing. It's like, look, you know, this is how we could do it in a different way. And then that can be a prototype for other projects. So these are just some of the ideas coming forward, but it's time for us to move into the Dharma path of initiation, action, doing, creating, and it's so beautiful. And it's also this full expression of what's within us. So what we're creating is simply how we do it is just fully expressing our gifts. And this is the song being sung again in our new renaissance, that everything we build from here on out is in alignment with her. It's love and good and true and beautiful. That can it be beautiful? Can it be aesthetic? You know, and honor and mimic her beauty and love and patterns of nature and geometry. I mean, we were there with her with the creation of this world. We see and know and love and honor the magic within us. And this is so much of what we're going to be doing. So let yourself visualize and receive these little twinkling star downloads that are coming, crystallizations, real manifestations, and stay in the energy of that dream, because I don't think I finished this thought. Jupiter is now coming at the end degrees of Taurus. Jupiter is coming into sextile with Neptune. We also have Pluto and Neptune in sextile. They're loose in sextile, but this whole rest of this year, and it's a beautiful backdrop of Neptune at the end degrees of Pisces in in sextile to Jupiter at the beginning of Aquarius, but going back into Capricorn. And it's like now we're completely reworking these structures in a mystical, spiritual way, reclaiming the miracles and magic of the Piscean age and beginning to build the new world. And it's so beautiful. It's just this, there's drama in the world, but the backdrop has changed. We don't have any squares right now or oppositions in this astrology. After that Mercury square Pluto this next week, it's like 2 weeks maybe, it's like, I don't know, I could have missed something, but it's incredibly harmonious. Just conjunctions and sextiles and conjunctions, let's come together, and sextiles are 1 sign 2 signs apart. So it's like not your neighbor, but your next best friend that is the same element, or masculine or feminine, 'cause it goes masculine, feminine. So sextiles have pure magic. It's creative solutions, jimmying the lock. And so the whole energy of this sextile of Neptune and Pluto in the backdrop of the whole rest of the year has to do with breaking down the old structures and creating the new, and reclaiming the magic, and visualizing, you know, the jimmying the lock out of the old reality into the new reality, healing and resolving the issues of the Piscean age and moving forward in a whole new way. So now we have Jupiter triggering this sextile, and there's actually a loose kite forming. So let's just talk about this, because Jupiter at the end degrees of Taurus, we talked about that bloom. Like, did you get the message? Are you going to own your wealth? Is it your wealth? Do you have wealth? Or are you just going to stay in poverty and denial of the power within you? It's like the pressure's on for supernovas to come into their wealth. And this is so beautiful, because we got Jupiter at the end of Taurus with that bloom in sextile to Neptune at the end of Pisces, speaking to cleaning up and reclaiming the magic of the Piscean age. And that says we've got to come into our new wealth, our true wealth, our age of abundance. We have to learn to receive, and we have to expand into the true wealth of the world, which is our higher intuitive gifts and the love that we are. And so this sextile between Jupiter and Neptune then is triggering activating sextile between Pluto and Neptune. So we got Pluto sextile Neptune, sextile Jupiter, and the Jupiter sextile Neptune is the 22nd to the 25th. It's exact. So this week we've got Venus in the silver bells, Mars with the north node coming up to the eclipse point, and then we've got Jupiter sextile Neptune. And so that means that Venus is also going to be sextile Neptune as Venus crosses over Jupiter at the same days. So, wow. It's like jimmying the lock on the lower matrix and completely releasing us from the old wounded stories and claiming back our captured queen, putting her back on where she belongs in her throne and crowned as the divine feminine takes back her place in the world. She is the world. See? And so Jupiter is the wealth expanding, and Neptune is that rehash and reclaiming of the Piscean age, the magic and the miracles. And then Capricorn and the beginning of Aquarius, I mean, Pluto at the beginning of Aquarius is saying what's keeping us, this kite that's forming, lift off into the new age, because um, the kite is made with the axis of the kite is like a Charlie Brown kite, and the axis of a kite is an opposition, the up and down line, and that opposition is between Neptune right now at 29 degrees Pisces, and Black Moon Lilith is at 26 degrees Virgo. Will be moving to 27 degrees Virgo. So it's like they're in opposition, and it's a loose, but it's a kite. It's loose, but it's there, and it's saying, "Hey guys, tie up the loose ends. Let's shore up the thing. Let's, like get ready for the journey. Prepare the sails." Um, and so we're going to be feeling this from the kite energy will be from the 25th through like into the first week of June. At the same time, we've got Sun Venus, and then we move into a very powerful, the new moon in Gemini will be kind of a culmination energy of that on June 6th, 6 6. And so that'll be right after the Venus Sun conjunction. And also, we'll be feeling this after this kite and these sextiles. And so, magic is afoot, you know? And so, the kite shape, the body of a kite is made of a trine. And so, in this case, it's a, a grand earth trine, except for that Jupiter's moving over to Gemini and Pluto is in Aquarius. So it's like the Earth. But Black Moon Lilith is there in Virgo, but these other planets have already moved over to the air. So the whole kite has this big shifting gears energy. Like we didn't know that the car had a flying option. It's a hovercraft, And so should we try out that vehicle? Really speaking to the activation of our light body, our Merkaba field, but it's a loose kite and it's just a glimpse. So it's just entry. We'll explore this energy over this next period of time, but incredibly powerful 2 weeks here. So again, thank you so much. Take advantage of this magical sextile time to dream, to vision, to crystallize, to own your power, own your light, own your truth, because it's getting into the action phase and we're making the leap, into that new world where the resources and the energies and the consciousness can now has it's all been about up to this point. Know this. Up to this point, it's all been about working against who you are and what you're here for and truth of who you are. And this flip of the table, turning of the tide we're talking about is that now the forces and the resources, the energies are with you. Can you receive that? The only way we can is through coming back into connection with the mother. Because when your shit gets hard and you're dancing with the adversities that we're all going through right now, it's a very dynamic time, and it's like a dance, but it's like, oh, mother's got me. Mother's got me. She's got the solution. I'm breathing. I'm loving. I feel her. I love you, mother. Talk to her. She says, when that problem was created, the solution was created too. You just got to breathe and wait. It'll come. I got you. Got you, girl. I got you, brother. We're going to do this. Just be with me. Keep breathing, keep loving, be with her. This is the key to everything right now. It's so powerful, so complex, and we're lifting off into a whole new reality. So let's stay in touch. And I hope can make it to that Sagittarius full moon starting this very potent 2 week marker. Whoa. And of massive shifting change. The energies will be changing a lot with those planets moving into Gemini. The air signs are like they're very positive. They generally can have a little bit of a wider view of things, like seeing the big picture, being like, it's okay, we can go with the flow. So it's very light and free, airy energy that we're moving into, and we want to just kind of take advantage and see that lifting up of that kite, of this new realities, new possibilities, and just be in that energy. So, Sagittarius full moon activation this Wednesday, May 22nd at 10 a.m. Mountain Time. I hope to see you there. Thank you so much for being here. Going through all you've gone through, Supernova Soul. I love you so much. And I can't wait to see what happens as we move through this incredibly amazing astrological time. It's so positive. So no matter what, just know that if shit's coming up, it's because it was hidden. Now it's exposed and the healing has begun. It's underway and mother's got it. And you can breathe with her and help and send love and ground out and take care of yourself. Do you? A huge message coming through, as we correct this, as we self correct and pull our energy back home, and we can see where our old self would go, oh, wait, let me help, let me fix, and be like, well, no, I can send love. The mother's got it. I can observe it and say, hey, mom, go fix that. Go work on it, and say, hey, I'm going to do me. I'm gonna do me. I'm gonna all any healing I see that needs to happen out there might need to happen inside me too. So I'm just gonna do me. I'm gonna take care of me. And it's so powerful. So this massive activation of that Mars South node. So hang in there and just own it and live it and breathe it. And it's going from trying to make it through the difficult times to trying to be brave and strong enough to overcome all the old stories to step into the new possibilities. Very different energy. I'm so honored to be here with you, Supernova Soul. So I look forward to connecting with you soon, hopefully at that full moon activation or the next update. Until then, I'm Adrienne Elise. Namaste.